Should say. I'm good over there. Looks like you're right. See the right now. Get too bloody. What? This is a start.
Okay, greetings, everyone. Happy Wednesday, September 24th. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. We have established quorum, which we do roll call.
Yes, I can do it. Okay. Commissioner Lee. Present. Commissioner Rolla.
Present.
Commissioner Schneider. Present. Commissioner Bakerman. Yes, here. Vice Chair. Greta.
Present.
Chair. Also. And Chair Katz is not here, so I'm supposed to meet Katz again. But we do have one.
Yes, please. Thank you.
If I may, before you get to start out, I would like to introduce our new commissioner.
Yeah.
I want to welcome her to our Fleet Street Commission. We look forward to working with you in everything that we do. So welcome.
Thank you, me too. Glad to be here. Thank you, thank you.
And if I may add one more thing, as you know, Aida did retire. Her last day was the 15th. So we will have Nick Zorn, Assistant City Manager slash Director of Planning and Development, now be the one in charge. Thank you.
Thank you. And to piggyback on, I guess, welcoming, Clara, if you want to introduce yourself to the fellow commissioners and the city at large briefly.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Clara Roa. I have been a resident of the city of Los Altos for about 11 years. I have one child and she's a current student at Los Altos High School and she has attended different local schools. And I live on Casita Way near the high school, just as a reference. And I'm really excited to be here. You know, I happen to like to be involved in the city. I'm also on the board of the Los Altos Montague Community Foundation and a few other, nonprofits. So I'm happy to serve in this role. It's new to me. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
Christine.
And then next up, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand.
I count 3, 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You. And next up is public comments not on the agenda. I don't have any. Is there any late additions? None, moving on. The consent calendar. Three things for us to consent. I will go through them 1, 2, 3. So looking forward to approve the minutes of the regular meeting from August 27th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
I think I have to abstain, right? Because I was not at that meeting.
Can you from that?
I think that's.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, that's okay.
Grace.
Yeah.
Move to accept.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Abstention?
Oh, I'm not.
Abstain. That's carried, has been approved. Next up, approve to cancel the regular meeting on November 26th, 2025, and have a special meeting on November 19th, 2025.
Yeah, just the background on that, remember last year we did the same thing, if it's during Thanksgiving. That's the regular meeting, we want to cancel it, and then, because I know most people will be out, and then we could have a special meeting the week before, so. Are you guys in favor of that, or?
We
Or don't-
discussed this previously, and we're.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, so, I'm gonna want to motion on that.
so make a motion to approve the cancel meeting for November 26th.
We'll make the motion to cancel the meeting on the 26th and have a special meeting instead on the 19th of November, 2025.
You, for a second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. None staying. Motion carries. Lastly, number 3, we are here to approve the former Commissioner Banninger to continue representing the city. Banerjee, thank you. To continue representing the city of Los Altos at the BTA BPAC or nominate and elect a new representative. I think this reads interestingly, so I think their discussion to have her continue as the BTA DPAC chair, or to nominate or elect a new representative.
Remember, we talked about it last time, I think she kind of wants to continue,
Yep,
Right.
that was the,
unless you guys wanna put it down as a discussion item, but,
okay.
I don't know
I
what
guess
you guys
I'm
want.
just-
I guess what you
It's
want.
conflicting statements
Yeah.
to have her
And,
continuing and or to nominate a new representative, so.
Well, basically, if you want her to continue, she'll be our VTA BPAC
Yep.
until June 2026 is actually when it expires. I know she mentioned that she wants to be at least by the end of the year, because she's also the chair for the VTA BPAC, so. Or if you guys don't want her to continue, we could nominate and elect the new representative for the VTA BPAC.
The background?
Yeah.
Steve, you have a comment?
No, Art just clarified for me.
Okay.
So, I make a motion to have her continue through her tenure in the VTA.
Is that all the way to 2026? No, that's when so I mean, we have to get another representative, so we'll have to. The city will have to select a new one, so. I'll second.
All in favor of the motion to allow former Commissioner Banninger to, Banerjee, thank you, to continue representing the city of Los Altos on the VTA DPAC until the end of her stated term. All in favor? Aye. None opposing, motion carries, so Stacy will continue in her current role, and then come time next year, we will decide as commission who will represent the city of Los Altos for the VTA. That brings us on to the discussion items. Given that I see Sergeant Taylor here in the office, out of the office here at the meeting with us. I'm proposing to move item number 7 to item number 4 for respective time and for planning. So is there any objections to the proposed reshuffling of our discussion items? Seeing none, well, welcome Sergeant Taylor, and you're here to discuss the citywide radar survey and any other items related to it. I don't have a lot of context other than knowing that it's been a discussion topic for us for some time and interest to have it addressed.
Thank you, Chairman. I would start off, I was just kind of give you a general idea. Under the California Vehicle Code, the city is required to conduct a radar survey every 5 years to determine what should be the posted speed limit. It's based on an actual engineering study where we actually go ahead and determine what is the peak time, peak flow time of the traffic. Based on that, we would take a radar survey. The intent of the radar survey is to actually determine what is the average, what is the speed that the cars are traveling when there is no obstruction, there's no means of artificially reducing the speed, with the logic that the cars are traveling at a most safe and thorough, efficient way of traveling through an area. Based on that 100 vehicle count, we're supposed to be posting at the speed of 85% of the vehicles traveling through that area. Through the years, for some odd reason, my predecessor did not complete the last time a survey needed to be done, which was approximately 4 to 5 years ago. So our current radar survey is outdated. It's also my understanding, and I cannot find this anywhere. I've looked in our council agenda, I've looked in our information. Unfortunately, our record is not very thorough in the fact that it doesn't go all the way back to 2016 or later. So because of this, I have to rely on a lot of the verbal history that is in City Hall. In that, it's stated that back then, council did not want to allow a higher posted speed limit. So the council artificially reduce the speed. So that is what we have currently. By doing that, it violates if the enforcement, we try to do the enforcement of the posted speed limit, it now becomes a speed trap, and it's not something that's enforceable. So fast forward today, currently the state of California back in January of this year adopted an AB 43 where if a valid engineered traffic study is on file, we could go ahead and certify that the radar survey is still adequate with the understanding as the traffic engineer. The geometry of the road has not changed. We have not made any modifications to the road that would hinder the traffic pattern and flow through that area. Then we could go ahead and not without doing a radar survey, go ahead and continue on with the enforcement of the posted speed limit. Also, under AB 43, you have special categories where you could go ahead and legally reduce this posted speed limit, such as business districts, vulnerable demographic of our residents, as well as safety corridor. We could designate an area that has history of high accident record as an area we want to create a safety corridor by ordinance. Now, that power that the council has to designate a safety corridor could only be at most 1/5 of the total lane miles of the city. Okay, so those are the areas that we could special designate based on accident history or vulnerability of the demographic of the people. For school, for the business district, we could reduce it down to 20 to 25 miles per hour. Once it meets 3 of the 4 criteria that was set by the legislator. Those are at least 50 miles per hour adjoining to the highway consists of retail or commercial dining that opens directly onto a sidewalk adjacent to the highway. Parking spaces located along the highway. Traffic signal or stop signs are located at least every 600 feet. Crosswalks are marked and controlled by traffic control devices. Now, that could be something simple as a stop sign or traffic signal. As long as we meet these 3 requirements, we could designate that as a business activity and go ahead and post those at either at 20 or 25 miles per hour. So basically what we have is these type of business would be our downtown corridor because we do have parking in the street itself. We do have business that opens to the road, the sidewalk to the road. And we do have several stop signs every 600 feet or lower in the downtown corridor. So based on the AB 43, the downtown could be posted at 20 to 25 miles per hour, whichever is convenient. We also could reduce additional 5 miles per hour based on the engineered traffic study, additional 5 miles per hour if portion of the highway is within a distance of 1,320 feet of a specific land use, such as transit factor, so transit facilities, pedestrian bicycle infrastructures, and demographic factors. Demographic factors are some of the vulnerable residents of our community, such as the elderly or the senior centers. So those are some of the exemption of AB 43 to not have to post per 85 miles per hour, but allows us to reduce it additional 5 miles per hour based on these information. So what that means is this: under regular California Vehicle Code, if the traffic is supposed to be posted at 30 miles per hour, I have certain means of reducing it down to 30 miles per hour. But under AB 43, these areas I have identified could be reduced down even another 5 miles per hour. So instead of being posted at 35 miles per hour, it could be posted at 25 miles per hour. But this whole caveat to this is we need to have a valid engineered traffic survey, which we do not have. So what I'm asking the commission is, would you like to have a radar survey for the whole city? Now, when I say for the whole city, it's gonna be only certain classification of the roads. About 80% of our city is a residential that automatically defaults at 25 miles per hour. The roads that I'm asking for, to do a radar surveys are collectors. Arterials, so let me give you some of the examples of some of those roads. These are roads are already identified in the general plan. And as well as Caltrans has identified those classifications. So major arterials would be Foothill. That will be a major arterial. San Antonio, Grant, Miramonte are either collector or minor collectors. Okay, those needs to be surveyed. Without those surveyed, our officers are unable to do any enforcements. Without those radar surveys, they cannot enforce the posted 35 miles per hour. And so they default to a prima facie, which is 55 miles per hour. Okay, as long as these residents do not go faster than 55, they technically can get away with it. One of the issues that we're having right now is this, because the radar survey is so old and so outdated. We have not had the resource to start doing some of the enforcement, but when we do have the resource, we have not been able to do the enforcement. Because the radar survey is so old, it's outdated. We now have the resource we need to start doing enforcement. But we're basically saying enforce it without giving them all the necessary resources that they need. So I'm asking the commissioners, do we want to go ahead and do a radar survey? With the understanding there is a good, strong possibility that this posted speed limit that's currently out there may not be adequately adequate to reflect what is actually the speed of the vehicle that's traveling on those roads. Some of the areas that we have identified, like good example would be Springer. We have posted 25 miles per hour. That is a minor collector road. So it may actually be posted at 35 miles per hour. Or Fremont, or even Cuesta. So without it, our officers cannot do their enforcement. Then I will continue getting a lot of complaints about speed for our neighborhood. And I'm at a point where engineering wise is not an engineering issue. I need to provide the necessary necessary backup documents for our officers to go ahead and do the enforcement to try to reduce these vehicles to slow them down, basically. So I just wanted to kind of give you a general summary instead of giving a full-blown presentation.
Thank you, Stephen.
Please.
And thank you all. Question for Flo before we move into clarifying questions from the commissioners. Is there any additional statements or comments that Sergeant would like to make?
I'd like to build on just kind of a few things.
Well,
Again, I'm Sergeant Taylor. I know almost everybody, but just to build on what Stephen said, thank you for giving that good background. When it comes to the enforcement side from PD, when we're referring enforcing speed, we're talking about using radar or LiDAR devices, which is what we want to use and need to use if we want to enforce speed. That's what you see CHP and every city and everybody doing to enforce speed. It's the most effective, best way to do it. Without that, it's kind of impractical to pace people. We can pace people sometimes, but it's hard, especially in a car. So it feels a little weird standing in public saying this, but for almost 2 years now, we kind of almost unable to enforce speed in the city. It's all the roads, Foothill Expressway, Los Altos Avenue, San Antonio, all of these roads, we cannot use the devices that we need to enforce speed with. We get a lot of speeding complaints, and we have to be creative and provide presence out there and say that we're going to try to reduce speeding, but we don't have the tools that we need to do it. It's been very frustrating on my end to not have this resource of what I think we need to help reduce and enforce these limits. There are some exceptions to that, school zones, local roadways, like we mentioned, like if it's a 25 mile an hour residential street, a lot of our streets like that are. Those don't need a survey, we can enforce with these devices on those roads, but most of the time, those aren't the roads that we're trying to enforce speed on, so there are a couple other exceptions, like max speed, like Steven mentioned, so on Foothill Expressway, for example. Right now, we can't do anything unless cars are going over 65, so, and that's. I was out there this morning, that's what we're writing, that's all we can write tickets for, because I can't do anything under that, because we need surveys, so.
One thing I will add is this. Yes, if we do a radar survey, there's a possibility that the new posted speed limit will be higher. But we need to create a baseline for our officers to start enforcing. The longer we go without having a means of enforcing the speed out there, the cars are gonna go faster. And if we try to capture the speed at sometime in the future, instead of being posting at 35 miles per hour, we may end up having to post at 40 or 45 miles per hour. Because cars are going faster because there's no enforcement to slow them down. Until we have a means of slowing down the vehicles by doing enforcement, the posted speed limit is gonna keep going up. So we have to start somewhere.
Thanks, Steve. Anything else, Sergeant Taylor, you'd like to share? So we'll move into clarifying questions, so again, refrain from making comments, we'll go to public comment and then back to commissioner comments to close out. We'll try and structure this so that way we keep ourselves focused on topic at hand, so.
Yeah, so we're starting with questions.
With clarifying questions.
Yeah, I have two. And one for Sergeant Taylor. To help me understand a little better. Let's, hypothetically, let's say that you did a radar study on Foothill Expressway. What would that radar study, depending upon what it shows, would it then allow you to do?
Well,
So that will,
well, let me just start off by saying this. It would not be Officer Taylor who does a radar survey, it would be me.
I mean, but if we had the radar
Oh.
survey done. How would that actually work, depending on what the radar survey actually reflected in terms of the average speed of the cars?
So what that would happen is this, we already have data figuring out what are the peak times where cars are able to travel unobstructedly per the MUTCD. Based on that, we would actually go out and measure 100 vehicles traveling through that area. And based on the 85% of the vehicles going through, we would post it to that speed. We would round it up to nearest 5. Once that is done, let's say it's at 35 miles per hour. Now I could give this survey data to Sergeant Taylor. Sergeant Taylor could go ahead and start doing the enforcement of that 35 miles per hour.
I still don't quite understand that. So let's say on Foothill Expressway, we know the speed limit is 45 miles an hour. Right, that's what's posted. Let's say the cars are averaging 55 miles an hour. Right, I mean, we see people driving fast all the time. I drive on Foothill all the time. And if I'm going 50 miles an hour, 5 minutes over the speed limit, everybody's passing me. So here's my question, if it shows people are driving 55 miles an hour, what then are we able, can we still enforce a 45-mile-an-hour limit that's posted?
No, if we do, then it becomes speed traffic.
Then we have to raise the speed limit.
Correct.
That, thank you, that clarifies.
That's the, not the average, the 85th percentile,
85% of the cars.
85% of the cars, well, not exactly, but yeah, roughly 85% of the cars are traveling, that's the speed limit that you would set.
Right, so if 85% are traveling at 45 miles an hour, then that speed limit is enforceable.
Correct.
Okay.
So now if it comes.
Because it doesn't matter what's posted.
As long as the radar survey shows the posted speed limit is enforceable, they need to have the data to back up the speed limit that we post. Right now, we have signs that's out there with no backup data, so they can't enforce it.
Okay. My second question is this, you never talked about the cost of doing the radar study. and what budget that comes out of. Can we just talk about that?
The budget itself will not come out of in any particular project. It will actually be our normal routine for staff to do. In fact, it'll probably be myself who's doing it. Or ours, but it'll be just staff going out there and actually doing the survey. We have already started the process of trying to figure out what is a peak time where cars are able to travel unobstructed. So we already have what those times are. We have what hours those are. We would go out there with a radar gun that we borrowed from the police department and start basically measuring what are the speeds.
Okay, the third question I have is one that was surfaced in a letter that came to staff and was circulated to the commission. Which was that when the study was done last time, 4 or 5 years ago. One of the community members who was here all the time. Talked to the people doing the study and said there was a requirement by the state that the test equipment had to eliminate any cars that were slowed down by congestion. Meaning there had to be a 3-second interval between
Yes,
consecutive cars. And when he talked to the people administering the test, they said, no, their current equipment did not basically enable them to use that tool. They didn't have the right tool for that. So I'm assuming that we'd have the correct tools to be able to do that efficiently.
the way it's done is this: when you see a cluster of vehicles, you do not measure those cars' speed. Because it's unable to the radar survey that we could have is unable to differentiate between the cluster of cars. So what we would have to do is, if there's a cluster car, we would let that one go. If there's a car behind that cluster coming by themselves, we would be measuring that speed.
So the survey is basically a manual
It's a very much manual,
for, okay.
and it has to also be done by a licensing or certified by a licensed engineer.
Thank you, Steve. That answers my questions.
And as I think the question we need to answer, given the discussion item, right, is do we recommend conducting a radar survey for the city? Is that inaccurate? That's what we're here to discuss. So as we frame our comments, not that your comments are correct or questions, just think about like, as we as a commissioner recommending that we proceed forward, aside from the methodology, do we still plan to make that recommendation with them? Commissioner Clark?
I have a question for Sergeant Taylor also regarding a clarifying question around enforcement. So if I'm on Foothills at 55 miles per hour, the speed limit posted is 45, I get a ticket. What is the enforcement issue? Like, how would I know if that's the speed limit I see, then I guess my question is around like, what is the issue with enforcement? I understand that there's some compliance things that we need to do, but I wonder what prevents that enforcement?
What prevents us from writing that ticket in that
Yeah.
scenario? It's written, it's part of the vehicle code for California. It's 40802, the vehicle code in California. It's technically it falls in what they call a speed trap. So if you look in that section, it kind of outlines everything that we're talking about. And it says that if the survey is not present, that we can't use the radar LiDAR devices to measure speed.
Oh, that's it's just because you know.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're in a car and we're doing what we call pacing, we're driving behind, we can still do that. But that's hard
Yeah,
to do,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's not
Trying to understand that, the why wasn't sure.
The other thing you need to be aware of is this: without the radar survey, a judge would not enforce the ticket that has been issued.
Yeah,
They will
well, I
throw it
can
out.
fight it, I
Yes.
guess, if I know this,
Well,
okay, okay.
even
Yeah,
with
theory, yeah.
with the knowledge of us knowing the surveys aren't good,
Yeah,
we're not supposed to even be out. We can't go write that ticket knowing that it's bad. That's
Also, unless they go over, like if you're doing 100 miles an hour, sort of not over. You're gonna.
so over.
fine.
Yeah, over 65, that's kind of, there's a separate section for that, so unfortunately, that's what we've been using, and well, people are driving over that every day, so.
I just had a second clarifying question also, is around, I mean, the bigger question I have is around budget and if there's any budget impact to
It would not
for
be,
this.
it would
Okay.
be staff time.
So staff time is literally you go into the streets with a radar gun and measure. Just, that's what it means when you say it's a staff
Literally
time.
go
Okay.
out on the road for an hour.
Okay,
Whole-
I was wondering if you're gonna have the, you know, the
No.
ones that you see in the streets sometimes.
No, staff would have to actually go and manually do it
Okay.
because when we do the radar survey, it has to be free of any obstruction.
Hmm.
So there cannot be any construction on the area that we're doing the speed study. You cannot have any vehicles that's broken down that would artificially reduce the speed of the vehicle. It has to be free flow, so we would have to actually physically go and make sure, okay, is this an area that we can go ahead and do a radar survey based on any obstruction, free of any obstructions? Then we could go ahead and do it. So it's unfortunately, it's very labor intensive.
Yeah.
But luckily, the number of roads we actually have to do a radar survey. I want to say it's like 12 or 16 number of roads.
Got it on residential.
Yeah, so like in San Antonio, using that as an example, I probably would do 2 locations because the length is such that I cannot just capture one speed at one location. I probably would capture one at the beginning and somewhere close to the other half of the road. Same thing with Springer. I would do the same thing because it's such a long run. So it's sometimes that's one of the reasons why at some of the streets that you travel, you'll see something that says 40 miles per hour, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, it's 35 here. That's what happened. Is the geometry of that road slows the cars down. That's why you have a differential in speed.
Is there a requirement that says you have to have a survey every mile or
No,
2 miles? or-
No, it's based on engineer judgment.
Okay, so you have a 5 mile stretch, you couldn't. You want survey.
Technically, yes, but it's not, it's sound engineering.
So,
Any
Jump on the
more
question.
clarifying questions? Go ahead, Tom.
so, how old is your previous survey?
The last survey that was done done in 2016. So that's where it was certified, so I'm assuming that it was probably done in 2015.
Okay, so how old does it have to be?
It cannot be more than 5 years. So we have gone through 2 cycles.
So we have, on the enforcement side, if we have all the certifications and stuff that we do have, we can go up to 7 years. But even that's expired now a few years ago.
So what's stopping you from doing that right now? I mean, you really don't need our approval. I mean, it's good to have it, but you can just go out and start doing it, right?
Technically, yes, but this will be one of 2 stops I'll be making. First, I want to have the public input as well as the commissioner's input. But I'll eventually be making a presentation to city council.
So that's when you invite the public. Even though this is public too, so,
This is public too, but
and you gotta send out.
well, the reason why I'm taking this conservative approach. Is ultimately the city council has to adopt the survey. So there's no point in me doing the survey. What they understand that they. Do not want to see. Any change in speed, then there's no reason for me to even do the survey.
So you said about a dozen streets that you're gonna publish what those streets are?
I mean, it's basically, it's gonna be Fremont. Miramonte, Grant, Springer. Los
I don't need- I
Altos.
don't need to listen now.
No, but I'm just saying, those are all the roads that's been classified by Caltrans as either collector or arterial.
Is El Camino one?
El Camino is owned by, is jurisdiction of the state. It's a Caltrans jurisdiction. So
So. Does that mean that there's a survey done by the state?
there should be,
Do we know if there is, so they can,
I
their
cannot,
tickets there?
I cannot tell you right now.
I don't believe there is with the redesign. I think that would have affected that. No.
One thing to be aware of is this, anytime we do road, like resurfacing. Or putting in a bike lane or something that will change the condition of the road. Is considered alteration of that road, so a new survey has to be done.
Because we had a lot of remapping, a couple months ago, we had all those changes
going through all the different restriping and.
Mhm.
And now we've got all the water mains over by Lucky's and downtown. So
Those,
you're gonna have to wait till all those are finished before you do the survey.
no. Because those are not changes to the geometry of the road. So they're doing road maintenance.
Cause that's, some of that maintenance is over by Grant.
Correct. But the geometry, which is the configuration of the road, has not changed. The striping has not changed because they're gonna put back what was there before. So that does not require a survey. But now, like, let's say San Antonio, we finally wanna go ahead and redo the road. Where we're narrowing the road or widening the road or putting in bike lanes, things like that. Now you're changing the geometry of the road. You have to do a new radar survey. And when that happens, we could still use the old study, but we will have to do a new survey immediately
Okay,
after the traffic has
so
settled down.
you said earlier that you don't have to. Come up with a fixed number of. The data per mile or whatever, but. Do you have to do so many times during the day? Because during rush hour. That you said you get a trusted car, so. So I mean, you have to do one like before
No.
or after, or
No.
anytime, just one time to do
It's
it.
basically, you have to allow for free flow of traffic.
Right,
So when we do our traffic count. You'll tell us what is the peak time during the day, also we know when the traffic is congested in the morning and in the afternoon. So we will not do a radar survey at those times. What we will do is, there's also a midday peak time when there's a lot of cars going through. That's when we wanna do it. Because that peak time during the afternoon or during the day. That is when the cars are flowing without any obstruction, without impact of the school traffic. Without impact of people going to work and things like that, it's just free flow,
so you just have to take one time during the day and just whenever it's free.
whatever the counter says. So there are situations where the peak time may be right after the rush hour traffic at 10 o'clock. Well, we will have to be out there at 9:45 to make sure we're all set up. At 10 o'clock, we'll start doing the survey and be done at 11 o'clock.
But you can also do that at nighttime also.
We cannot do it at night. You have to be during the day.
Okay,
It has to be, because at night is technically, you should only be traveling as far as your headlight could shine and you feel comfortable driving.
well, if you got.
During the day.
You can go faster.
Again, it has to be unobstructed and free flowing. So if you're doing it at night,
It is.
yeah, but at the same time, you're also limited on how far you can see. So it cannot be done at night.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other commissioner questions? Any questions? Trey?
Still had a few questions, so the service would be done manually,
Mhm.
and is radar the only option for
It is the
doing?
only option, yes.
There were some streets in the recent past that we have done as part of our safe routes to school improvements and so on, El Monte, Cuesta, and a whole bunch of other streets. And we did a bunch of speed surveys, not with radar, but with the sensors that you lay down on the streets.
Those are counters.
Yeah, those are counters. Now, are there speed data available through those mechanisms that we can leverage off to do this?
You have to be actually doing our survey, which means I have to be out there with the radar, facing the vehicles.
And the radar surveys, you said you would pick maybe for a street, one or two spots. That seems extremely subjective. Is there an objective way of saying that, for example, the street as long as San Antonio, you probably want to do this survey where we know that, pedestrians and bicyclists will be most vulnerable, and you want to make sure the speeds are the lowest possible. So,
Again, you cannot have any obstructions.
no, not obstructions, there are no obstructions. Let's say, for example, on San Antonio, as you come closer to downtown, you have a lot more crossways.
Mhm.
And obviously, the speeds would be lower there, so
Mhm.
you want to do the speed. Your
You would
speed
not
radar
want to do it
there.
No, you would not want to do it there.
Why would you not want to do it there? It seems like a safety issue.
No, this has nothing to do with the safety issues. This is, deals with the speed of the
I
cars
understand,
flowing.
I understand, but don't you want to post speed limits that are most appropriate for that section of the road, for the entire road? You don't want to be the fastest, your speed limits where,
When you start introducing bicyclists and pedestrians in those areas, you're artificially reducing the flow.
So I wanna interject, we're getting a little bit too much into like the technical. I think where we're at for this component is if the commission wants to understand how a survey is done, we will provide an informational item for you. We're kind of getting into semantics and kind of almost negotiating a little bit from me independently listening to the questions here. The one, I can tell you this much. Stephen and Art will not be the ones to do the traffic survey or the speed study. We will have an independent person do it for the objectivity because of this specific type of thing within the community. Where I will say kind of very simple is if the community does not adopt a speed study at some point in the near future, we will progressively continue to keep on going up, but this is what ends up happening. I am a product of actually being able to go to court and fight a speed ticket in Southern California for this very specific thing because they are legal speed traps essentially. So where I'm saying is that we eventually will have to kind of take the Band-Aid off because we'll only ever see it continuing to keep on going up. Whatever the study says, at the end of the day, we can essentially reduce it by 5. That's kind of like the easy, quick answer to all of this. Now, when it comes to where the independent analysis will have to look at roadways to be able to provide that kind of independent, objective, essentially findings, that will then come to essentially the commission and the council for them to be able to see. But the history for everyone, it's that it's been artificially reduced in the past and never essentially also then essentially backed up by any actual data, other than one report, which then it was also artificially reduced for what was posted. So essentially still creating illegal speed traps. So that's really where we're kind of at. But if you guys do want a technical understanding of why and how the studies are conducted, we can provide that. I just don't think we're kind of giving kind of the holistic big picture because every roadway is going to have a little bit of a different nuance to things.
okay, thanks, appreciate that answer.
Thank you.
And Stephen, a couple other questions. Do we have to do the whole city survey, or are there high priority streets we can get done and then we can do all the others? The reason I'm bringing that up is I'll bring it up at my comment sections to do with AB 43, but are there high priority streets that we can identify and get the speed survey done first so we can proceed, or do we have to do the whole thing in one?
We have a priority list that has been requested by police. Ultimately, we do have to do it for the whole city.
Ultimately, I understand, but if there are some, okay, all right, thanks. The last question I had was, on Foothill, what section of Foothill do we get to, do the,
Enforcement?
yeah, enforcement and the radar survey on?
All of it,
All of Foothill?
yes.
Within the city limits.
Within the city.
That's what I meant. So it's within our city limits. So can you remind us what that is again?
Crystal Ray, yeah, Crystal Ray kind of on the south end and then Old Oak roughly on the other side.
Then you brought up AB 43, and the one thing that I did not understand, if you could go over that again, that would be great, and that is to do with the changing of the geometry of the streets. So can you went through a explanation, can you go over that again, what you were?
When you say the changing of the geometry of the street, it could be something simple as widening the road. Or.
No, I understand, not the technical aspect, I was talking about how AB 43 exemptions are affected by. what
AB
you're saying.
43 does not apply if the road geometry has been changed.
Walk me through that timeline, I don't understand, what do you mean?
Basically, what you're doing is this, under.
Okay,
AB
let's say there's a speed limit posted now,
Mhm.
or you do the radar survey, I
Mhm.
guess, and there's a speed limit. Okay, now walk me through this again.
Okay, so basically under AB 43, as long as the condition of the road has not changed. That means when the original survey was done, nothing has changed on the condition of the road with respect to how the road's laid out, the visibility of the road, the striping of the road, as long as nothing has changed. AB 43 says the original survey is still good.
Okay.
But the moment that we changed the striping, the moment we added a lane, decreased a lane, add a bike lane, anytime you did something like that, AB 43 basically said, we have to do an engineering traffic study.
Okay, so for example, on San Antonio, we do a survey, tomorrow we redesign stuff, and there's something new, we have to redo the study at that
We
time.
have to redo the study.
Okay, great, I think you answered all my questions, thanks, Steven, yeah.
In the spirit of keeping us focused on the recommendation to conduct the study, which I think it's I'm not speak for us, but it feels like it's recommendation needs to be made. I'm gonna move it to public comment, and see if there's any public comment on this topic. If there, would like to speak in, Madam? Mark?
Hello, commissioners, staff. Okay, so here's my public comment. I'm Mark Seidel. I live in Mountain View, work in Los Altos, own property in Los Altos. So I support the survey. I think it needs to be done. I do want to point out that the opportunity, and if our goal is really to reduce speeds, which I think that it is, make it safer, is that geometry changing, that engineering, that traffic calming is really important. So if we want to reduce speeds, enforcement's part of it, but we need to add more traffic calming to the places that we're most concerned about speed. And then we have to redo the surveys, and then those surveys will help us reduce those speeds and use AB 43 and all the things that we need to do. So it's a shout out for, yes, do the survey, but also think about strategically how you also change the engineering of the roads so that you can help reduce the speeds and then have enforcement on them. That's my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Yep. Okay. Good. So, yeah. Officer, do you have any, I guess you're in officer capacity, but you're here as well. Okay, then moving on, I guess, to commissioner comments. Are there any comments that need to be made beyond the clarifying questions? Yes.
So I happen to live within 500 feet of one of the aforementioned roads, so am I in conflict of interest here?
No, I don't think so, because we're discussing general.
Yeah, general. I specifically said this deals with that X road, so I don't think it's a conflict.
So your conflict of interest that you would need to be concerned with is if you're specifically trying to take a position on the actual posted speed of that roadway. The actual survey itself is what would be considered a general guidance, and it's not subject to a recusal requirement.
Okay, thank you. Follow to.
So, the only comment I would make is that I would personally support doing the survey. I can't see any reason whatsoever to not do it. And, I think that it will then enable us to take advantage of traffic calming. Actions that are across the board, so I am wholly in favor of it.
Any other comments?
I have a few comments, yeah. I think this is long overdue for the city, and I think we want to give the tools for the officers, to help with reducing speeds wherever possible. I think that's a sort of a no-brainer from my perspective. I think my biggest concern comes after, and we have work to do. And a lot of our streets you have mentioned are not safe for pedestrians and for bicyclists. Even after we post the speed limits and we are enforcing them in best possible way, I think it's really incumbent upon this commission and the staff to take a look at how we apply AB 43 carefully. We have, that 15% number concerns me a little bit, because we want to be very strategic in us picking the right streets to apply that 15%. And then coming up with tools to calm traffic, to then apply that 5 miles per hour reduction where possible. I think we have to do it very strategically and very carefully. it's highly likely that the posted speed limits in some of the streets we're talking about will go up. And a lot of our streets are not conducive for walking and biking. There's no facility, we don't have sidewalks, we don't have bike lanes in many of the cities. So we have to be very careful. So I think I'm asking the commission that we bring this back at some point to talk about where we do use that 5 miles per hour very judicially and pick the streets.
That is not up to the commission, it's gonna be up to me.
I agree, but I think the commissions want to provide inputs as to where, how we do this strategically. I understand, but I would love the commission to weigh in on this.
This would be at a staff level, it would not be a commissioner.
On the AB 43 discussion as to what streets we want to think about
I'm
strategically.
gonna ask us to focus on the radar survey specifically.
Yeah, I understand.
Well,
But I'm making my comment, I
Okay.
want to make my comments and we can bring this back for discussion. But this is a request that we at least think about this very strategically as to where we apply, because that 15% is not clear. Again, unfortunately, it's not on the agenda. We can't discuss it here. Which 15% of the streets are we going to do this on? If Foothill is a long stretch, San Antonio is a long stretch, that might just cover 15%. I don't know. I trust the staff will, think about this carefully, and I'm asking that we think about this very strategically. That's all. And then the last comment I will make is I just want to say in full support of our enforcement and our officers should be able to do their job. And I think whatever we can do, the commission is in addition to speed survey we can, please let us know, and we'd love to work with the law enforcement to take this forward. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Chair.
Any final comments? I'm gonna ask to bring this to a vote so we can formalize our recommendation to make or allow the city to proceed with renewing our citywide radar survey. I'm gonna ask for a vote is.
We need a vote. You got it.
Is there,
Is the commissioners all in agreeable that this is something that we want to take on?
Yeah, I
I would-
would just modify that. I don't think we're allowing that. I think
Yeah.
we're endorsing,
recommendation, sorry.
I think we're endorsing the decision to
Yeah,
move
sorry,
forward
not recommendation.
and conduct the radar survey. And I think we're doing that with the understanding that staff will then take the actions based upon resources and timing to get that done as quickly as possible to allow our police department to be able to enforce speed limits and then to take future actions where it makes sense to make our streets safer for everybody. Want to turn that into a motion? Great.
Since the motion is not needed, it seems like there is consent from the commissioners to proceed forward with the recommendation for your work, Stephen. So thank you for your information. Thank you for officers for being here and for your feedback, and for city staff as well for your input and guidance. Moving on to the
I
next.
was only going to. Dr. Taylor, could you introduce your fellow officer?
Sorry. I'm Officer Anthony Friebel with the Traffic Division.
So this discussion topic has been concluded.
Thanks, guys.
Free to stay or free to leave, but thank you so much for your time and thanks for being here.
We started to say something, so we go home. Thank you, everyone.
Next up on discussion items is item number 5 technically, which is the potential Distal Drive improvements. So this is the carry on from our conversation last commission meeting. I know that public notice was sent out to residents within 500 feet of the affected area. I think we were notified or sent a copy of that from Art. And the intention now is to continue the conversation. I think, Stephen, you have additional information to present to the commission. I guess proceeding from that, then we'll go forward with the usual flow. Claire, you have a question?
I have to recuse myself because I live 500 feet from Bristol.
From Bristol, from the junction of Bristol and March.
Yep.
Uh,
I take
you have
that
to
street every day.
recuse yourself from engagement.
Yes, that
Or-
would be a question, like, do I have to completely
The city staff.
recuse myself?
If you be present for this meeting, or is it?
Okay, I
You-
take that street every single day,
Commissioner, you may listen, but you may not participate.
but I
in
do
this
not
discussion.
participate.
Thank you for that. Yeah. For full disclosure, I live, I think it's like 800 to 900 feet exactly from the location, so I'm close by, but, let's just say. Living at 232 Merritt Way, so,
Check on that.
yeah, check it twice. Thank you for your disclosure. So moving forward, Stephen, if you'd like to.
Commissioner Claris, if you would like, you are more than welcome to step out. So there will not be any potential for conflict.
Okay, absolutely.
We will call you back or come receive you when we're done with the discussion topic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To continue on with the discussion we were having last, at the last commission meeting. As I stated in the last meeting, there is a interest in providing a bike lane on Distill Drive from Marriage all the way to El Camino Real. Right now, just kind of give you guys a general idea, the city of Mountain View is looking into possibility of installing a bike lane on Reinsdorf. So Reinsdorf, actually, let me see, do it this way. I'm going to utilize technology. Give me a second.
There's already a bike lane on Ringstorf. You're gonna modify the
Um,
bike lane?
On and off, from what I remember, but let me just,
Effectively, no.
At the junction part, crossing the street there is, they repaved it recently with the restriping of El Camino, so it's the interesting part that.
this is Ringstorf at this present time, or at the time when Google Earth prepared a photo. In our discussion with the city of Mountain View, the city of Mountain View is looking at the possibility of creating a bike lane from El Camino Real all the way to the 101 freeway, basically. The study that they're currently working on is the possibility of if they were to go ahead and install a bike lane, how will it impact the parking in this area? The area along Ringstorf is highly populated with a lot of apartments and high density housing. So they are trying to figure out if this is even feasible. Given the fact that Los Altos High School does service the resident, and the fact that students do come over from the city of Mountain View, they do utilize Reinsdorf. So they typically cross here. Oops, nope, that wrong one. Here we are. This is El Camino right here. This is El Camino, Ringstorf. Some of the students does cross at this intersection. But based on my observation. Yeah, it's.
No,
Here we are.
there we are.
My mistake, my apologies. Some of the students does cross at this location, but based on my observation, because of the construction activity that's currently going on 5150. The students actually does come along Ringstorf, walk or ride their bike along El Camino and cross onto Distill Drive. So during morning peak, which is about 8 to about 8:20, I did see the most amount of students utilizing this traffic. Starting about 8:15 to about 8:40 is when you have the most amount of vehicles traveling on Distill Drive to try to either get back to where they're from or they're going to work. So you do have a little bit of an overlap between the students utilizing to come to school and cars going away from school. So right now, Distill Drive is identified as a safe route to school based on our suggested routes from Los Altos High School to wherever the location is on Mountain View. So given the fact that there is a high interest in installing a bicycle lane on Distill, and the fact that we are going to see additional traffic in this general vicinity around Distill Circle because of post-development. As I stated in our last meeting, I am recommending some modifications to be made on. Please bear with me. So this is what is being proposed at this time, to go ahead and install a bicycle lane. I'm proposing a 5-foot bicycle lane on both sides of Distill Drive from Merritt all the way to El Camino Rio. That means that we will be taking away all the off-street parking on Distill Drive. I'm unable to install a bicycle lane with a parking lane or parking space. And at the same time, still maintain the necessary minimum 10.5 feet of travel lane. So this means that the whole road itself would be laid out like this. I'll be creating a keep clear for the condominium that is on Distill Drive. I'll be creating a bicycle lane, and this one right here would be a right turn, designated right turn and designated left turn. The reason why I'm proposing this is because majority of the traffic in the morning, I would say about 80% of it is making a right turn to make a left turn on Ring Store to go back to Mountain View. Out of that 80%, I would say about 70% is making that turn, while the remaining continues onto El Camino. I'm assuming they're going to work. The majority of the traffic is going on Ring Store. That means that because of the traffic that's backing up on the right turn is really forcing this traffic to go all the way to Mirich. If we were to create a right turn release, hopefully it will alleviate a lot of the traffic backing up during peak time. Because not everybody's going to be on one lane waiting for that left turn movement to go clear prior to making that right turn. So on both sides would be a striped bike lane with a 2-foot buffer that would go all the way to Mirich. So this is my proposed design at this point in time. Like I stated, this is gonna significantly remove all the off-street parking at this within this limits. But you would create a bicycle lane that is identified in the complete street project, complete street master plan. So, yes, sir.
I'm on board with this. Are you putting up bike lane signs and wrong way signs? One of the things we discussed last time is I'm expecting students to actually go the wrong way in the bike lane here. And
those are something that we could consider as part of the design, yes.
Is it questions?
Yeah, so the flow will be clarifying questions, no discussion, public comment if there are any, and then we can make comments.
done.
Are you done with your presentation? Okay.
So I have a couple questions. Will the no parking be time limited?
No.
So it's 24 hours, 5 days a week, 7 days a week?
So they would, because we have a bike lane out there, I cannot create enough width to allow bicycle lane and a car to park.
What happens to vehicles that are stopping to deliver construction vehicles, gardening vehicles, those kinds of things? What's your expectation as to where they will park?
That is the challenge of this design, is the fact that the width of the road does not allow me to have an ability to allow those type of how do I say, parking along the whole Distill Drive. Now, under the vehicle code, if it is a delivery, they technically do have a means of parking there for the delivery in a short duration of time. But it cannot be the domestic help.
So let's say it's an Amazon truck. Right, Amazon delivery, they're all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Do they park outside the buffer
They should be
parkway? And when they do that, are they closing off the lane?
part of the lanes, yes.
Didn't you just say that be a short period of time? So
And a short period of time for deliveries.
so they could park there for like 2 minutes or whatever it takes to deliver to a house, maybe.
Technically, yes, but they should not be parking in the bike lane. They could park on the travel lane.
Cause it's buffered,
You mean,
so there'll be.
sounds like.
So is
double.
so let me ask the question differently. Is the road, are the lanes wide enough for an Amazon truck to park there and have a car go around that truck while there's traffic coming the other way?
No.
They are.
Basically, that's the reason why I'm showing a dash line in the center. In the fact that if there was a solid yellow center, two solid yellow with a black center, you cannot go around, you cannot cross the line. But if you do a dash line, then yes, you could go around them.
If that's what's supposed to happen, but practically speaking, anybody ever seen an Amazon truck not park in a bike lane?
No. There's theoretical and there's reality.
Yeah.
I know some Amazon drivers, they do not do that, but majority of them does.
And then,
That goes out for FedEx and everybody else.
and then if it's a construction truck or something like that, they will have to park on the property, gardening, construction, whatever.
Or Distal Circle or Marriage Way?
Somewhere that is not on this road.
Your question?
Those are my questions.
So how many residential households does this affect?
2 or 3. It's basically this home here,
You can't see an arrow there.
right here, this one, and then I believe,
Can't see the house.
oh, I'm sorry. This,
Bear with me now.
oops, where'd it go?
It's directly,
It's basically split 3 homes. But the. So. Here, maybe this would help you better. If I go off of Google Earth. There's only 2 homes that's currently have driveway coming into Distal. It'll be this one in the corner, as well as this home. This home has a driveway right here. The area that would also impact would be this business. They do not have an elevator that goes down to their underground parking structure. So they would have some difficulty having their patients go from the underground parking structure to the office on the first floor. Right now, they're currently utilizing this as means of having easy access to the business. Based on what I'm able to see, majority of the traffic that's currently parked along this section of the road is both impact from the construction and these 2 health facilities.
And this is the bike lane going from El Camino to,
It will go from Marriage to El Camino. Just kind of zoom out a little bit. So the bike lane you're looking at is from here to here is what is being proposed.
Now, one of the.
what about when it crosses?
This right here,
Yeah,
it comes to a dead end, it comes to a cul-de-sac.
okay,
There's no means for a direct access to the school, no. No, they would have to either come up to Marriage and make a right and then go to, I think,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Or come across here and go down casitas. This is where majority of the kids are going, but, casitas.
Either do more houses with the effective little.
Yeah, it's. This condominium is a high density housing. Is they're currently utilizing some of the parking space, but they also have an area that is painted green. For their for gardeners or home cleaners and things like that. But when this does go through, they're no longer able to park here, they have to park somewhere else.
If you look how much of an impact that'll be to those houses or the businesses, like how many times people actually do park on the street for that? And then-
The several times I've been out there. These homes, I did not see any, I did not go there at night to see what they're parking. But during the daytime, I've been out there as early as 7 o'clock, and I kind of got out there as late as 4 o'clock. It seems like majority, based on what I'm able to see, majority of the cars that's parked along here are people who's currently working on this development at this location, or some of the staff of these two medical facilities.
Okay.
And looking at their parking lot, there's room in there.
One other question, Steve. How much of that entire distance is covered by sidewalks?
I think. Already need it.
I believe the sidewalk ends at the, in business. And is inconsistent throughout the whole area. I know that there is a sidewalk up to this location right here, which is the business. Right here, and then it kind of goes into an asphalt and kind of disappears.
So there's a sidewalk from El Camino to Marich?
No, there's sidewalk from El Camino to approximately Distil Circle.
On the other side of the street there.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then
On
from
the side.
the other side of Distal Circle to Marich, there's no sidewalk.
No, because it
So
comes,
is the expectation that both students and other pedestrians that are walking that way will then share the bike lane to walk in?
yes,
So it will really be a bike and pedestrian lane.
correct, but based on what I've seen. By my count, I encounter about 60 bicycles in the morning. And probably about a handful of kids actually walk.
Thank you.
Right, as a clarification, there's an easement between the street line and the property on both sides of the road as well, so people do have the ability to walk in on the shoulder. There's unofficial sidewalk people. Any other questions from
Will
commissioners?
it still be the existing shoulder the way it is now, or will part of the shoulder become part of the bike lane?
I would have to do the design to tell you that exactly. I won't know that until I actually start laying things out. But at least I'm able to show you approximately how it's gonna look.
What do you roughly what the lanes width would be, based on what you're considering now?
Basically, the width of the road is about 41 feet. So I'm proposing about 11 feet.
And the bicycle lanes, what will be the minimum
Bicycle lane, I'll be putting in 5 with a 2-foot buffer
on either side?
on either side. So that's 7.
So are the narrow stretch, you would expect it to be about 5 feet?
What was that?
At the narrowest stretch, the narrowest part, you would expect the bike lane to be 5 plus 2.
I'm proposing the whole width to be 5 feet with a 2-foot buffer.
With a 2-foot buffer and 11-foot driving lane.
Yes, at the narrowest point will be 11 feet. It might actually be a little bit wider
Okay.
because at 41 feet, that is 34 feet. 11, 13, 18 feet, so 36. So it's 36 at most, and I have a 5-foot, so technically I can make it a 12-foot lane on both sides if I want to. But I could strike it so there's 11 feet to kind of slow down the cars in that area. So if that's the case, then maybe I'll make it 7 feet.
Have you, I guess you've already spoken with the businesses.
I have not.
You're not
Not
here. And then the only question I have was, once we strike this, then what vehicles can we enforce it, or the enforcement can be done after striking?
After strike.
No more questions.
With a few questions myself, Stephen, how many apartment units would be affected by, or besides the 3 homes that are there, are currently in the unit on the corner of Distal?
Omar, do you have an idea how many units are in your building?
In our building? 32.
And then what was do you happen to know, since you're here, the number of parking units parking spaces per unit?
2 in the garage.
2 per unit?
Yeah, in the garage, yeah.
Thanks for the answers. Stephen, when you did your visual review of this, it sounds like you did both morning and night. But did you see a similar traffic pattern issue of bicyclists in the morning time, which is the big challenge I think the street faces, versus the when school is let out, as people having conflict with the parents leaving school and bicyclists like we're seeing in the morning time?
No, because the parents would have picked up the kids, traveled through the intersection already before the bicycle got there. So there's a little bit of a lag between the cars and the bicycle. One thing I've noticed is the traffic pattern in the morning is slightly different than in the afternoon. In the morning, the time that is most congested on Distal Drive is approximately 7:20 to about 8:20 to about 8:40. That's when the maximum number of vehicles are parked. And basically they're parked all the way from El Camino all the way to Merge. I mean, cars are all trying to make some sort of movement. Out of the 32 cars that's queued in that road, I'll say 4 of them actually made a left turn. Rest of them all made a right turn, either to go on Rengsdorf or continue on to El Camino. The traffic pattern I saw was in the morning, it's usually the kids come in about 8 to 8:10 because they're trying to get to school by 8:30, I believe is when school starts. So that's when I started seeing the peak. The most peak that I saw was about 8:15, when I saw about 10 or 15 kids coming through the area. The queuing of the vehicles have not started yet. You still see the cars traveling through the intersection. But once it gets to about 8:25, when all the kids have already gone through with the bicycle and pedestrian, that's when you start seeing the cars queuing. That's when you start seeing the cars taking 2 cycles to clear that intersection.
Thank you. And my last question, you've currently presented one design flow, but have you considered other design options where one side has protected bike lanes and the other side has sharrows to allow for parking for the units and business on the south facing side of Distal, and the other side would be protected for students coming in during morning rush hour?
I did not look at that because it made no sense for me to go in and protect a bike lane on one side and a share on the other. Either I did share on both sides or bike lanes on both sides. It would confuse the public too much. I've also looked at the possibility of making parking on one side, which is where the condos are at and the homes, having parking as well as bike lane, and then putting only bike lane on the other side. That would be the construction would be more extensive in the fact that, as I stated in the last meeting, I would have to actually regrind that road and move the center line to allow for that to occur. So now the cost has gone up exponentially. And the condition of that road does not warrant me to having to redo the whole road. It would be easier to just go ahead and strike it.
Thank you.
Quick follow-up.
Yeah.
So in that option that you were considering, would that then you would have a cycle, like a cycle track on one side?
No.
No.
It was just the standard fibers of whatever the width of the bike lane protected. And a car allowed to park there. The other challenge is this. The lanes itself has to come back to where the existing is, because where the traffic signal is located at, it has to be centered to the lanes itself. So if I shift it over too much, then the traffic signal is no longer aligned. And it comes out, is no longer compliant.
Stephen, what feedback have you gotten thus far from the community itself, people that live on the street?
I have not heard anything else from any residents except the people on the comments.
Since you put the notice out there, you haven't heard anything? What I'm concerned about,
If we can.
I'm
pause for
just asking
comments.
questions.
Yeah, just clarifying questions, and then we'll go to public comment, then we have our chance to make it. But hold that thought, please write it down.
Yeah,
Any other clarifying questions? We're gonna open up to public comment in relationship to the potential Distal Drive improvements. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak or make a comment?
But my name got
Oh,
out.
yeah. So if you come to the podium, please state your name, and then you're unofficially 3 minutes, but I will clock you.
Omar Dujani, they want 5100 ECR. I missed the first part of the meeting, but I think I gathered what some of the ideas are. And I think about it all the time because I live there and I take that street. I use that street all the time, going in and out of the parking lot and observing the flows of the traffic. And I recognize it's quite complex and there's no perfect solution. I guess at this point is what is it that we're trying to solve for? And I think for me personally, based on my personal circumstance, is, safe route to school for bikes. And also to the extent possible, try to reduce the traffic or make the traffic flow a little bit safer. Not sure exactly what the word is, but there are certain things you can't control. Can't control the number of cars going through the area, can't control visitors to the buildings, how many cars people own, because actually in 5100 ECR, I think there's some people who actually own 3 cars, even though I have two spots in the garage. But I think in kind of listening to the conversation last a short while that I've been here, I hear a bike lane. I think I gathered on both sides of Distal, and I think that seems to be the least worst choice. I know some people don't want to give up the parking spots. I think I heard at the end that it's a combination bike lane parking spots. I'll hold my final thought until I hear the full proposal. But ideally, as I mentioned last time when I was here a month ago, is if there is, and maybe this is what's being thought of, the opportunity to have a bike lane and parking as they have on near Target. I forget the road there, the Middlefield or near Middlefield. But I think there'd be from a perspective of the flow of the students going to Los Altos High School, my kids and others who are going to Bullis, I think a bike lane, which might come at the expense of parking or space on Distal, seems to be, well, it is, I believe is the best choice, and seems to be based on the totality of potential possibilities, what may be the best choice for me and maybe the best choice for other residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Eric Mehard, assistant principal at Los Altos High School, and I just wanted to say I'm really thankful to you all for considering the safety of our many students that are biking and walking through the neighborhoods through Los Altos, and they're actually not actually from Los Altos, but are coming from Mountain View, because these, as you know, many of our students are actually Mountain View residents. So I just want to thank you all for considering the safety of those students who are coming on bikes and as pedestrians. So I support the movement to create greater bike safety in Los Altos for those students. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other people in the audience, I think that includes public comment. We can move on now to commissioner comments. Anyone like to start off with any comments? Steve?
So I totally support the priority of, a safe route to school safety as the top priority. However, thinking back to what we as a commission and staff in the city went through with Jardine, my concern is that there are residents on the street, both in apartments and houses, that are, despite notices, are not really cognizant of what's going on. And unless we make an extra effort to actually give them a piece of paper that has a plan of the bike lanes on it that says this is what we intend to do. The commission supports this, right? And we would like to get your feedback. If you'd like to provide feedback, and here's an opportunity to do it, then we're gonna have a whole bunch of people come to the city council, you know, in a bit of a lather. And we're gonna wind up going through a elongated process that's gonna get very contentious. Now, everybody isn't gonna agree. Of course, we expect that. But I think that we need to at least provide the community with some notice of what is actually gonna be implemented. And I think we have an obligation as a city to do that. So that's my comment.
Playing with the air conditioning. Anyone else? Glad to come.
Yeah, it's cold.
We're like 65 degrees in here.
I got the message 4 weeks ago to wear my winter clothes.
90 degrees outside and cold. Anyone else making comments?
Seems like the best of a bad situation.
I'll make a final comment then. I think I echo, Steve, what you just shared. And I know that you guys, I'm not fully in favor of the, having, parking removed in our city. Only because I know, I asked, I guess, about units and number of people in the area that would be affected by having their street parking removed. I also take to mind that Stacy, former commissioner, right, like talked about utility of public streets, but I also know that we as a city are moving towards higher density housing, which means that, you know, we have lots of different factors to include when housing comes into play. And what will be, you know, we coming online with El Camino housing as well as the housing down up Distal Circle. I fully support protected bike lanes, bicyclists. I'm a bicyclist. I want our kids to be safe, and I know that's an issue. So that being said, this is one solution, Stephen, that you presented us. It'd be nice to see, you know, maybe a few alternatives to saying like, great, you presented having protected bike lanes on both sides, which removes parking. Like seeing the options of like, are there two options that we get to choose between? I know cost is an issue, right? I'm not here to propose like leveling it all, but being able to say, great, how do we consider multi constituents of people that would be parking, right? The reality of delivery service providers, landscapers. I know the landscapers, I see them once a week parked in front of there. I don't know where they would be parking there to get their lawnmowers out and everything else if they couldn't park in front of the apartment complex. Maybe underneath in a garage, but I don't know how that's reasonable, and I don't think it's, yeah, something to be considered, right? There's lots of different pieces. So my ask would be for us to see at least an additional plan or some other options that we can weigh the pros and cons, and then ultimately have citizens as well in the area have it, you give a thought. So that's my.
I just want to add one thing. Like I stated, the width of the road from curb face to curb face is 41 feet. For me to include parking is additional, it's basically absolute minimum, 5 foot lane, 2 foot buffer, that's 7. For me to add another, parking is 9 feet, so that's now 16 feet. And then add a minimum travel lane, which is 11 feet. So you're talking 27 feet, so I need to go 54 feet. Curb to curb face. I don't have the real estate. So like I said, I've looked at different options of doing this. If I only strike one side for bike lane, now you're asking kids to drive on the wrong side of the road to be in a bike lane. So I could put a Cheryl in, but then that's gonna be, kids are not gonna use that. Why should they use a Cheryl when they have a bike lane that they can go and utilize? And so you're now encouraging kids going the wrong direction. So for me to include parking is just not feasible because I don't have the necessary width.
I guess my comparison in the city currently is Bullis. Bullis currently has a very narrow street. They have Sharrows that seem to work. It's a 25-mile-an-hour street as well. It has pretty heavy traffic, given the flows of the two schools. And I'm in favor of having protection for children. The thing is, I only see this as a problem in the morning rush hour time. I'm there in the afternoon, I walk my dogs around it, I see kids coming and going, it's not an issue in schools let out, so it's a one side of the street issue. And that's why I'm trying to think like, great, how do you address, not like fix the whole problem, and in reality, it's a very narrow problem that needs to be addressed, which is getting children to use the bike lane on El Camino coming off of Rengstorff, and then using the right side of the road. Currently, even though the imagery from Google Earth shows there isn't striping, there is indeed a green dash stripe lane leading kids from the bike lane on Rengstorff straight across the street into a sidewalk, which is why bicyclists and children are using that side of the street as a means of transit. So something to be considered, because we can solve that problem, but in the end, we still have children using the wrong side of the road as designed by restricting our streets from the Mountain View side. So this is hence my comments, right? Trying like, we're solving one piece, but in the end, the upstream or downstream solution still has to be solved. And I don't know if that's a Mountain View issue, or since it's on highway or on El Camino Real, if it's Caltrans.
It's Mountain View. Mountain View is the one. So
Did you look into Cheryl's on both sides?
that was what was originally proposed.
Okay.
And the residents do not want Cheryl because of the situation in the block.
But some of those Cheryl's allow parking
Yes,
and residents in vehicles.
no. Because it does not provide protection of a bike lane.
Okay.
Any other comments? So I'm not clear, I guess, as for our recommendation or your next steps with this, how, I guess as a commission, guess we have not consensus on how we proceed, at least within the commissioners. We have a direction that Stephen is currently planning to take. So we need to come to some conclusion on like, how do we proceed forward with this to take action that we agree to as a commission. And I don't know what that is.
I think, I'll repeat my comment, but I think at a very minimum, we need a design that it can be circulated to the residents, a proposed design. And let's see what comes back. If the residents come back and there's not a lot of objection, and the residents are in agreement that bike lanes make sense and it's safe to get the kids to school that way, you know, then why not move forward with it? You know, I don't want to anticipate an objection that's not there, but I also don't want to move forward and then have everybody come back and say, well, we didn't know what was happening.
May I ask one question?
Please.
If I have one resident come back and say, I don't want to remove my parking.
I'm sorry, Stephen.
If one resident, because it really affects only 2 residents in this area. If I have one resident saying, no, I don't want my town park taken away. Or for that matter, a business saying that I don't want this because I'm gonna take away off-street parking.
I think the residents of the apartment complex, not the residents of the homes.
The,
Are you asking us?
yes, I'm asking the question. If I have
As one commissioner, what I will say is, I never expect unanimity among residents. Doesn't happen, right? But a lot depends upon the kind of response that we get, the amount of response that we get. Whether people come back and say, hey, here's something interesting that maybe you haven't thought about, who knows? But I would say that if the majority of the residents feel that this makes sense, and we also hear that from the parents, and the students who are using it, then you move forward and people can't come back to us or the city and say, why weren't we really told exactly what was gonna happen? And, I think we at least owe everybody the, a complete, unedited, this is what the plan is, so that people are aware of it. And everybody may not like it, what we finally decide to do, but at least it's with full information out there.
And Stephen,
That's my
for clarification,
personal-
I don't think it's the 2 homes that are in question or the 3 homes. It's for me, it's the apartment complex on the corner of Distal and El Camino that.
and we had residents come last time, they said they had no problem with the under parking.
I think it is the residents. I mean, they're not getting input, but I think it does.
It's the
They
apartment
are-
complex pushing this issue.
But I'm saying, I think the residents, maybe they knew what was gonna happen. Sometimes it's kind of after the fact. The question I wondered is, what about the businesses? How do they come to city council or,
They're giving notice like everybody else.
they get notices too? Okay, so
What we
does
did
the
is
notice
we-
just go to some administrator there or to the,
Whoever is the building owner of record,
okay.
we are unable to, I guess.
So it could be the owner and then they lease it out, so the people that are actually renting space may not even know. The owner may just, I don't care, because I'm just, absent owner.
This, my final comment, discussion, I feel like I should say something about this. I fully support what Commissioner Katz is saying about this. I think it's important that we bring this a design. Given all the inputs you've already heard, and based on your recommendation, that we at least give a chance for people to comment on it. The second thing I want to say is, in addition to the residents and Commissioner Scott's concern about the people in the apartments and so on. There's also a big voice from the school community, and I'm happy that Weston Sunihara was here to talk about it. And I think it's up to the commission for us to then weigh all these comments and make a recommendation. So that's simply I'm saying, so I think we should pass.
So we can talk for a future agenda or next meeting, I guess it's planned to have your proposed. Draft of what the changes would be, restriping, similar to what we see like with our restriping and resurfacing on over Mill Lane. Do you have enough time for that, or do you need more time to?
Honestly, I don't know any other options. I've looked at all the options, and this is the only one that will work in the existing geometry.
Well, I know with the proposed plans that you provided today, would be final, or would any modifications be made like we see when we do mill and overlay, where you're presenting like the
If I have
blueprint plans?
If I have to do a mill and overlay, then it's gonna be on the list of.
No.
future.
Not a mill and overlay, like when you present us the plans that have the PDF, right, where you're like very detailed drawings of the road and how you're gonna restripe and redesign it. Do those need to be created in order for us to approve it? No.
No, I could go up to construction like this.
So what are you looking for today? Are you looking for us to?
I wanted to see if the commissioner would like to have this installed, or basically go back to the original, what is the request of the commissioners? I mean, this design was based on the comments from the public.
Right.
As well as the feedback from the commissioners last time. So,
I, to just make it simple, I mean, I'm not making a motion, but I think, this putting something on the table for the commission to say is. You have a design and proposal, right? And I think you've got comments about the design from all of us. What they're saying is, publicize this, provide an opportunity for the community to comment on it. And then the commissioners can make the recommendation at that time. So I'll make sure that this is okay.
I move that we proceed forward with the design as shown.
Wait a second. Vote, all in favor? 2 yeas,
Yeah, just let's through all.
any nays?
Right.
3, and 1 abstention outside.
So where do we stand right now?
So I guess the point of confusion for me is that we have a design proposal, we've sent out notifications to the public at large. We have 2 people here speaking in favor of having the bike lanes. And this is the final draft that you would be presenting to us back, correct, for a final review? So there's no, the final review has been provided.
So I don't wanna kind of leave it like that. I would make a counter proposal, which is that we move forward. And I would make a motion that, I don't know if a motion is necessary, but I believe that the proposed plan should be published to the community so that people can actually, has anybody seen that proposed plan? When you
this is what was
gave notice?
discussed in the last meeting. This layout is exactly what was discussed in the last meeting. This is what was asked by the commissioners.
The layout that we saw there, that was in the notice that went out to the.
That's the layout that I was explaining in the last meeting.
I think what you're asking is that.
The layout that we just saw there with the 2 bike lanes.
That was.
It was
that's all
explained but
residents.
not designed.
It was not designed because I asked for the commissioner last time, how do you guys want to do this? So based on the feedback from both the community and from the commissioners, this was the design that was asked. So I went ahead and laid it out based on what was asked.
And that was in the notice that went out to all the residents.
No, we did not have this in the notice. That was
So I don't know, so I would say that I would support that design going out to the residents for feedback as a next step in reaching a workable solution to improving the safety on Disco Drive as a next step. But what I'm not willing to do right now is to say, let's move forward, because I don't think there's been sufficient information shared with the residents or the community.
Right.
It has been shared with the commission, but I would guess if you were to look on the Zoom as to how many people on looking at this right now, it's not gonna be a large number.
So to clarify, right, we agreed to discuss this today, we provide public notice that this is going to be on the agenda, we're discussing it, and now you're suggesting that we provide notice with the proposed designs as shown today to the residents for a vote of approval and public comment and review at our next commission
Yeah,
meeting.
for public comment, for sure.
Is there a motion that you would like to make regarding this?
I don't think we need to make.
Motion? Okay.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I would make a motion now to that effect, that we move forward and that staff prepare a notice to go out to the community and specifically to everybody that would be impacted by this in terms of residents, homeowners, and apartment owners going to mail.
And the school community. Including the school community.
And that's what we did.
They-
Yeah.
they-
We
hit the same
did-
list as
we
last
did-
time.
And that is.
So you want us to send the same,
Our
another
next-
notice saying that it is another meeting? Is that what you guys want? Are
With
we sending another
I think-
notice?
the design proposal, right? Ultimately showing the design that here's what the
Right.
city's
And that
Engineering
we
staff.
add it to the agenda of our next meeting for review. And I think that way everybody will have an opportunity to come and talk about it if they want to.
Similar to what we did as an after effect with Jordan, right? We,
And I think a 30-day delay is not gonna,
Actually, if I got delayed for 30 days, it won't happen till spring. It's getting cold for me to start going out there to paint. So it'll probably be sometime in spring I actually implement this. So if the commissioner's okay, I mean, I'm fine with that. It's just, I'm just trying to catch the weather at this point in time.
are you certain about the weather? Guaranteed.
I don't know anymore.
We
You
have
know about La
hot, we have hot
Nina
falls
and-
here in Los Altos.
The weather was too hot.
We have hot
I
falls.
was told that they were supposed to be in the 90s all week and all of a sudden we got rain today. Oh. I don't, I will do what I can and install this as early as I can. This is all I can promise.
I mean, I'm in favor of us proceeding forward with notifying staff of the presented staff, I'm sorry, staff notifying the public of the proposed plans of what we're doing. You know, I think we're generally in favor of it, all things considered. But want to give people the final chance of saying, here's what we want to do, here's what the plans are. If you have any final say, please come, otherwise proceeding forward. So I think that's where we conclude with this topic. Okay. Thank you for iterating with us. We appreciate you coming and presenting on it again. And I think this is really good experience or exercise for us as we get closer to the future work happening on San Antonio, because this is a small segment of a much larger road and iterative cycles that we'll have to go through. So, yeah. Thank you.
Are we ready to be a bit clearer?
Yes, as you can please, Robert, thank you.
No, I didn't.
Thank you for
I did.
for attending your public comment. Appreciate it. We'll also take a 35-minute bio break, so
I am.
please return at 53.
It's recording.
Welcome back, part 2 of the commission meeting. Moving on to the next discussion item, which is the ad hoc subcommittee for 2026 work plan. In our last meeting, we had proposed the idea of having another ad hoc subcommittee to begin our work plan for the next year. We had, if I recall correctly, for our 2025 work plan, we had a subcommittee created to draft the document you see before us, the pink and white document, which was helpful to get us to a quick working plan, and then ultimately we iterated on it together to come to a final conclusion. That being said, do we want to proceed with the same format that we had for the last working work plan, or do we want to modify this and either, I guess, one, do it collectively, which would be a little bit slower and less efficient, and or do a working pair to draft it and bring it to the commission for a quick review, or do we want to have the ad hoc subcommittee? I have an opinion, but before I share my opinion, I will ask fellow commissioners if they want to.
And I just wanted to say that we have only 2 meetings left for the year.
Yep.
So October, November, so, and then we usually bring it in February, so next year. When do we bring it to?
It depends on the city council.
Yeah, exactly, usually around February, right?
Yeah, whenever they do decide to have
Yeah.
their.
So you gotta think about the timing too, so you gotta think about, move quickly. Exactly.
Yeah, we can move quickly.
So just technical question, this is done every year.
Every year we create a new work
Okay.
plan. And now, like all other commissions, it's more structured and more formulaic, allowing us to, use something that's similar and for the.
Yeah, they're presented to the council.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm gonna blend the two. Are there any clarifying questions or comments that people want to make?
Yeah.
No reason to hold back this one.
Yeah.
Pretty streamlined, I think.
Well, I mean, this is my first question, meeting, I'm going to understand, so
Yeah.
then, and these plans, these projects are sometimes suggested by the staff. Or always
So-
suggested by staff, or sometimes by the public,
Here's context. So, in conjunction with the work that the staff is doing. We align the things that we feel are important to either circle back to that we haven't completed, things that we want to make sure that are addressed, or things that we want to see accomplished in the future.
Okay.
So a little bit of both. There's a strong overlap between our priorities and objectives and the city's staff, and then just routine work that happens, like city maintenance of streets, making sure that the complete streets master plan is fulfilled and that we're abiding by it. And, you know, adjusting to changes in the city as we see fit. So,
Okay.
good question.
And input from the city council too.
Yeah, I don't think they provided any modifying input, from our last time. They reviewed it and liked what they saw, but,
Say that they have.
if they were to.
If
yeah,
they change their goals or
Yeah.
whatever their goals. are.
Or budget issues or whatever else.
correct, yeah. Any other comments or questions, suggestions on ad hoc? Whether we proceed with an ad hoc subcommittee or move it into a working pair or a full commission? As it stands now, I recommend that we move it into an ad hoc subcommittee to have two individuals work on the drafting of the proposed work plan for 2026. Bringing
You
it
can
back.
go up to three.
up
You
to
said ad hoc subcommittee, right? You said, when you said two people, when you were working pair.
It was, working pairs,
Or two.
yes,
You said-
two.
I'd help you go up to two.
Right, but he said two people on an ad hoc subcommittee.
Sorry, up to three,
Okay.
and proceed forward with creating a proposed work plan for 2026. That is my suggestion for us to proceed forward, given it worked well last time. We got quick results and we had
Yeah.
a document that we were ultimately able to review and iterate on as a commission versus it being designed by committee. Any objections to that?
No, I don't. I just wanted, the only comment I had was, we have 3 meetings maybe.
Yeah.
So that would be, October, November, and January.
Correct.
You don't have a December meeting, correct?
Mhm.
So my suggestion would be is we have to notice before we can form the subcommittee, can do it today. So my suggestion is we put something on the agenda for next meeting. For us to have a very robust discussion on what the work plan would be. And then form the subcommittee, which can then take those inputs. Come back in the fall.
I got you.
I'm in agreement. If anyone object to that?
I agree.
Great, okay. Well, this doesn't require a vote, so I will plan with Wes for our next meeting to form the ad hoc subcommittee in our next meeting, and we will then either volunteer or choose the individuals who will be a part of this to draft it. We'll also create kind of very
Specific, right?
specific timelines and timelines for its creation and its resolution in order to get it done.
Yeah, can I just make a suggestion, which is that, having been on both a subcommittee and a working pair before, it would have been extremely helpful had going into the process, the whole commission, had some time to really think about what they thought potential items might be that should be prioritized. And to have perhaps a half-hour brainstorming allocated, maybe at that meeting, just to make a list of things, not to resolve anything, but to say, going into this as a subcommittee, here's some stuff that's come up from the commission as potential things to consider.
Yeah, we can plan for that, maybe a little sticky notes, ideation of what we think is the most important things for us as individuals. And then begin to at least collect those, understand them, and then rank prioritize them. If we have, I don't know there's no limit, right, on what we want to go after, but obviously there's a limit on what we can achieve. So we can begin to prioritize that and give the ad hoc subcommittee some direction. So, thank you.
Can I ask you a question? Just a procedural. I don't know, Art, if you can answer or not.
Yeah.
Is it possible to have a study session? That not part of the agendized meeting, but a noticed study session prior to, for example, we could meet at 5 o'clock. maybe 5 and 6, we could have just a study session on this topic and then go to a regular meeting.
I don't know if that's possible. I've never heard of it. If there's a study session,
I mean, the city council has study session, right?
let me get back to you guys on
Okay.
that. So you want to do like a pre-meeting to discuss? Is that
Well,
what
to
you
do the prep work.
But I mean, it has to be noticed. It
Right.
has to be noticed and, because it is a commission meeting. because I mean,
let me check on that, because I've never, for commissions, I've never seen, I know council meetings, they do the
Okay.
study session, but I don't know if commissions, they do that, so. What you guys could do is, you could do actually, the working pairs now. So two people could start talking about, or, you know what I mean?
mm,
That's an idea, so you guys could be ahead of it,
yeah, it's also a good idea.
right, so you could, you know.
But then you're saying multiple pairs.
You could do multiple pairs, you just can't, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't just, you know, so you could do that, I think, so you get ahead of it. Instead of talking now, because it takes a little longer, right? At least it's a, I don't know, that's just an idea.
I think I like your idea, I think, but what we can potentially plan for it through notification from yourself to the commissioners is prepare their list of 5 items or whatever we want to suggest. And then come to that meeting, prepared to have that discussion and for data collection, right? I can't send it out, but you ultimately.
Exactly, if you send me
request
stuff, I could send out.
You can send it out.
To the
So
commission.
let me
It's just-
work
so
with
everybody
Wes on
has to-
this. So
I don't
it's a
know,
clear
that's-
format and then we can make it easy for a pre-brainstorm, basically what you're asking for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't come in like, oh, let's just begin thinking about it.
Exactly, so you guys should be prepared.
We've done our homework.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we can still answer, I guess, his question.
Study session, let me check, but I don't know, I've never seen it, but I'll check with the city clerk.
And then, either way, we'll still give notice to the
And
commissioner.
the problem with that too is we don't have the room, you know, to do that, because, you know, this is reserved for complete streets, right? So that starts at 6. They actually give me a 5:30, got 30 minutes to prepare. Cause there could be other groups that goes in here, so that's the only drawback of that, so.
Okay.
So,
Usually another spare room or just a longer.
but the thing is, it's study
No,
session has to be,
noticed
has to be
anymore.
noticed, has to be, public has to see it, so. That's what I mean about 2 you can do 2x2s, you can send me the information, and then I can send it to everybody, right? So everybody kind of has some ideas of what's going on, you know. I don't know, or you guys give me some ideas, I can just send it to the commission.
Or just make it part of the agenda and just set expectation that it'll take some time.
Yeah, and just, yeah, exactly, and then just be prepared to what you guys want to, you know, just be prepared, and that's gonna be on the next agenda, so, but we're gonna be talking about the work plan.
Well, I think we can structure it for, to talk about the work plan, to create the ad hoc subcommittee and subsequently provide them those individuals with enough content to go on. To proceed forward with creating a work plan structure and a first draft that we can review and then move forward on within 1 or 2 cycles of the longest, so. Given that we want to have it on the next agenda, is this something that Wes and I would or ensure that it makes it on the agenda for?
Yeah, when we go with our next meeting, we'll make sure, but yeah, it's recorded.
Any further discussion on this topic?
The only question I had was, we had, you know, I think the 2% need committee, which is Joe, Steve and Tony, I believe, right? You looked at
The working pairs?
the working pairs, yeah,
Me, see for the work.
you Steve, were working pair, yeah, you, which team looked at the long term, you know, that the old 5-year plan, that which of the 2 teams?
That was Tony and Wes.
Right, and to me, the question is, do we want to somehow not revive that exactly, but at least create a parking space, so we know, you know, learnings from this year, there'll be some work plan for 26, 27, or 25, 26. The 26, 27, and then, you know, some future items that we can park there for more strategic reasons. Do we want to create that as part of this,
I hear what you're asking.
Yeah.
So take the findings from the 2 working pairs. One is item number, the last item today, but subsequently get a conclusion from the working pair of Wes and Tony to decide how we incorporate the long list of CIP items that weren't addressed, correct?
not just the CIP items, but some of the other, like, you know, we've discussed, like the traffic, you know, traffic calming plan. you know, what's the, you know, what's um, the plan for, AB 43 and all these, you know, there was a bunch of items in there
Yeah.
that we want, you know, find a parking space for.
Well, I think that if I understand how this is gonna work for us, right, we'll review our existing work plan, see what we accomplished and what becomes priorities. Some things continue on to next year. AB 43 is one of them. You know, number 9 was like update or conduct a citywide radar survey. We're not doing that. We can't do a decision today, but obviously there's gonna be work coming out of that, which is a review of city streets, traffic calming measures, and how do we actually take that data, proceed forward. So is that what you're asking?
With that plus, you know, we'll come up with new recommendations this year.
Yeah.
And we don't want that knowledge to be lost. We want to put that into place in a longer term plan, even if it doesn't make it to the next year's one.
I see what you're asking for.
Yeah.
So you're looking for like a kind of end of year summary or end of year like write-up kind of sorts?
No, it could be another list.
Yeah.
It could be a longer
Like
list.
an archive list kind of.
Yeah.
So make sure that you guys don't lose it. That's basically what,
Yes.
that's this.
Gotcha. Have you seen the 5-year plan? That we have?
Which 5-year plan?
The old 5-year one.
Need a street market.
I know the police
Master
master
plan?
plan.
No.
There-
No, the one that was circulated, what's his name, Safe Routes is called downtown, they compiled based on my recommendation, they sent it out to the commission. There was a link to that document.
Oh,
And
I was
believe-
shared last meeting. It was the Jim Wing and 4 or 5 other citizens sent it out.
No, it was Mark and his team.
Okay.
So that's kind of a long-term strategic plan. And then when Stephen and Art joined 2 years ago, we said, okay, that's a plan that was kind of old, it's not, you know, it's not really relevant. We decided to create just a 1-year plan at that time. With the intention that we might want to create a long-term sort of a parking space for things that not, and that was the idea. And I know that Tony and Wes have taken a look at that plan as well. So so that's what I'm referring to.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, it could be one of our top priorities to make sure that 5-year plan continues on, right?
Or it doesn't have to be that, it's
Something for that. So you're asking for a document that exists or something that we can track things over time, where it's not just a micro view, it's a macro view. Yeah. I think that's a great topic for the 2026 work plan, right? Something that we're not doing, but we need to do. I think that covers everything else. Any final comments on our intentions for next year and next meeting? Hearing none, moving on to the last thing on discussion items, which is the 2025 work plan goal for road maintenance and improvements for public safety.
And the thing is, I forgot to put the list of streets in the packet, so I did print it out, I'll put it back in the packet when we get a chance. I know that was one of the things you guys wanted was the list of streets again.
Yep.
But I did forget to put it in the packet, so about that, but so I printed it out for everybody. Maybe you should give, maybe the background.
Jim wants you.
Wow. Just clarification how we got this list, basically, because you started, so.
Yeah. Looking at, see if we can.
And nothing's changed, it's basically the same streets, there's some streets that we couldn't put in this year.
The grade.
Yeah, the grades is this year.
So, yeah,
Is it here?
clear, yeah, if you're looking at this existing document, the color one, the one that is in priorities 1 through 12
Yep.
is this current year. These are the roads that we focused on for resurfacing, milling and overlay. We discussed it at length. We had a lot of good conversations, provided feedback and input into the plan. Art and Stephen listened to us over multiple rounds. Public at large came and provided feedback on areas of interest or conflict. And so the existing plan, as you see here, is the long-term plan for 2025, 26, 27 and beyond on the roads that we will focus on. The roads that are being targeted are twofold, ones that are part of the safe routes to school, and also roads that have a pavement index scoring below a certain threshold. I think it was 40, I forget, 45. It's 100, it's a brand new perfect road. 0 is, it's dirt. Yeah, so this was the, as we've asked several times, like, how do we think about managing roads long-term, not just year by year. And so part of this particular discussion item is looking at the road maintenance and improvements for public safety long-term. And the CIP is capital improvement plan. What does that look like? So we asked if Art could provide us this, and he did. That being said, I think I'm at a loss for what the next steps would be regarding this. Let's review and.
So I just wanted to get an update for next year's annual street resurfacing. So it's gonna be FY 25-26. It went out for proposal. It's gonna be awarded in the October 14th council meeting. The consultant to design the streets. So that's gonna be October 14th. But these are the streets basically. So you know, the mill and fill and also the microsurfacing, and nothing has changed from these lists. So that's the list that it was on the proposal, and it's on WCAG, so and that's what's gonna be the next design. Remember, I gave you guys a schedule of what the timeline of what's happening. I think the next time we're gonna bring that back. What was that, Stephen? We were gonna bring those back in November, actually, so preliminary, if we can, if that's on our schedule. So we will be bringing some type of preliminary plans for these streets. So something, you know, think about, because I know you guys wanted to get ahead of some of these streets and give your ideas on what you need, you know, want to put, you know, based on the complete streets master plan, that kind of thing. So some of these streets are just, you know, it's gonna be in kind, so we won't be bringing those back. It's the ones that has the most like.
Any modifications to the striping.
Yeah, exactly. When I think those are what we're gonna bring back like we did this year, right?
Yeah.
And then you guys made some comments on it and what you guys wanted, and it's fun to see and stuff like that. So,
So what is that, what is it?
I mean, that's great.
You read that, yeah?
Yeah, so it's basically a continuation of Springer, right? We went up to 905 this year, and then we're gonna continue Springer. That's basically what it is, right? Yeah. So now it's gonna be 905 Springer, towards, you know, so it's
I'm saying the red font is.
I don't know what, yeah.
I wish I did a red font because that's the one that we originally thought we only own half of the road.
Yeah, no, we gotta do.
And we found out recently that we own the whole road.
Right. That's the. Okay.
It's just a reminder to me that when we do the work, I'm not happy either someone come up with more money or reduce it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen it here, but is AWOL Court somewhere on our list?
So what trunk?
AWOL Court.
Was it on the
So-
prior document?
I haven't seen it, but I made a mistake of riding my bicycle on it.
I do not remember seeing that on my list.
Is that when you were saying it's private drive?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Your comment or question is in regards to potential for dilapidation or?
Yeah.
Can you provide feedback outside of this particular one for, because these are planned roads, but is there a way, Stephen, for you to take feedback on roads that need to be reviewed? Or,
I mean, I'm always open to suggestion, but that is not on a safe route to school, and it is a cul-de-sac.
Yes, it is, but,
So it has not been a priority because we're trying to get caught up on other stuff.
okay. It's in extremely poor condition.
I have a lot of those stuff.
I have a question.
Please.
So when we talk about improvements, it's just pavement, it doesn't include striping and other improvements? Or all of the above, depending on the street?
Stephen, or will you just give a quick explanation of what the difference between the mill and an overlay is and the micro resurfacing? Microsurfacing.
Typically, we look at the condition of the road, so every 2 years. We do an assessment of all roads and rate them based on from 0 being dirt to 100 being brand new roads. This is done through an MTC where they actually hire someone on our behalf and go drive basically all our roads and give us a rating between 0 and 100. Based on those recommendations will determine how or what type of treatment that is being recommended. So kind of give you a little bit of a history. The way a road deteriorates is it will start deteriorating at a slow rate after you do a constructive road. When it gets to about a rating of a 70, it's no longer just a gradual deterioration, but it's now an exponential deterioration. When it comes back down to about a 30 or a 20, it's now to the point where the road has deteriorated to the point where you basically have to reconstruct the road.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, the 70 is usually about the sweet spot where you want to cash the road before it starts really deteriorating. If it's around the 70 mark, what you could do is rejuvenate the oil that is in the road itself and reintroduce the fines. Basically, put the oil and the sand back into the road to hold on to the structural integrity of the road. If it goes below 70, and typically I've been doing it around 50 to 40, so it's on the steep decline, is when I would actually peel back 2 inches of the road and put in new asphalt down. Depending on if I see a severe cracking, which is what we call alligator cracking, or if I start seeing depression on the road, that means I have a bigger issue that I need to try to address, which means I now have to peel back all the asphalt, actually do some treatment of the structural integrity of the road before I could go ahead and pave it. If it gets down to about a 30, now I'm looking at having to reconstruct the road, which means remove all the asphalt, get it down to the bare native, and just basically reconstruct. So the logic is this: if you add microsurfacing, which is a polymer oil mix with sand, and rejuvenate the road, the cost is around $1 a square foot. If I need to go back and do a mill, which is grinding of the road, and overlay, I'm now looking at about $70 to $80 a square foot. If I start going beyond that, where I have to do a reconstruct, now we're talking like $150 to $200 a square foot. So you want to catch it before it gets down to a point where you have to do a microsurfacing. I mean, to do mill and overlay. Mill and overlay is like the last resort of treating the road before having to really do something extensive on the road.
Okay, that's helpful, but there's no way from this list to know which one.
Yeah.
It's just the priority list means
This
that
is all
number one
overlay.
is.
This is microsurfacing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
Or
okay,
I
okay.
failed to explain that part.
Yeah.
This is microsurfacing,
Yeah,
this
this is
is
done there a little bit.
the.
The way the list was created was based on council objective, which is they wanted to improve safe route to school as a priority.
That's a priority, yeah.
So because of that, I now have to weigh the safe route to school with not only the cost of making necessary repairs, but what kind of treatment is necessary and most effective. Yes, sir.
Steven, one of the things that I've noticed in the last 6 months, and it's actually accelerated, is that there are some safe routes to school that are being the road themselves are being disrupted by major construction projects. And which is creating deterioration.
Yeah.
On the streets. Perfect examples are Cherry and Linden. Linden is a much busier route to Egan and Bullis Charter School and the bypass to Santa Rita. And I think that they'll may have to be elevated in priority at some point.
Miramonte is another prime example. They just did a pipeline project there. And when they did that,
They're not even on the list.
well, one of the things that I'm trying to get away from in the past is staff has always looked for the easiest solution to the easiest location. So by doing that, we have come to the point where we're making repairs in a small little patch, forgo the other sections, and we move on to another location. So we never had the opportunity to come back and address the whole road. So if you notice on the list, Springer is now going from one end to another. So when I'm completing these roads, we now have a complete street or complete bicycle lanes instead of having to try to reschedule it to come back at a later time. So that's kind of a philosophy that I'm trying to change. Yes, I am aware of some of the roads have accelerated deterioration. It's just, I now have to strike the balance of, if I keep doing what has been done in the past to keep chasing after these roads, I'll never come back and finish a road. So, yeah, I'm aware of it, and right now, I have this priority list right now that is set for 4 years. Right now, we're going through a TNT evaluation of our roads. Hopefully, MTC is able to do that. That will tell me what are the real condition of road deterioration. I'm gonna have to adjust the list.
What was the acronym you used? PMP?
Yeah, pavement management program.
Thank you.
You know what, one of the things that must be frustrating is that I was walking back to my house from downtown today. And I was looking at the extent of excavation that was going on about Hamilton to install underground PG&E
Mhm.
cables. And that was a road that had been resurfaced not too long ago.
Mhm.
And now it's just gonna require something, right?
Well, one of the reasons why they're making the upgrades now is I put them on notice about 1.5 years ago that we're gonna do a San Antonio project.
So I don't know how much advance notice in terms of a year in advance, 2 years in advance. That like the water company and PGE actually gives staff. To say this is where we're gonna be going. That then gets blended into these kinds of plans.
When I first started working for the city about almost 2 years now. When we went through this list extensively, I basically at that point in time, once it was approved by the commissioners, I try to have a quarterly meeting with all the utilities. And I put them on notice saying, here's a list. Here's my timeline. If you do not come in and do the upgrades that is required, and you guys delay it after we do these road improvements. You either have to do more of an extensive repair. Or you cannot come into my road for 3 years after I'm done. So it's to their advantage to try to get in before I get in.
Do
So
they typically do that?
Hmm?
Do they typically do that?
a lot of the work being done in the downtown area is because of what I basically told them.
Okay.
In fact, grant may be an issue in the fact that they delayed it for so long. Now it's impacting my construction. But yes, Cal Water has been very cooperative, especially when I basically say I have these major projects coming in. Because it is to their advantage to come in before I do. But other utilities, PG&E, an example, I'm having mixed results.
That's surprising.
But luckily I have a good relationship with Cal Water, so they're willing to do a lot of improvements because like right now, all the work that's going in the downtown area was not programmed for another 5 years.
Oh, wow.
That was how they did program it in their budget and their rates. But because of all the things that's going on in the downtown with the roads, improvements and development. They basically said, we agree with you, we need to do this now. That's the reason why the downtown seems like it's being torn apart. Is they're trying to get ahead of us.
So I guess we reviewed the list. Are there any updates that we make to the long-term plan? I don't know what those updates would be, but are there any updates? Hearing none.
Well, at least the long-term plans won't be make that decision based on our work plan, our work plan. Or unless staff has any recommendations.
At
or
this
any-
point-
Any modifications to that long-term plan.
At this point in time, in the absence of some of the data that I need, this is the list that I'm gonna hold on to. Until that, my asphalt assessment report comes in,
Mm.
then I would be making, a recommendation to modify the priority.
Okay.
Something that may not be on this list right now may come back up.
Things might switch
So,
as
yeah,
a
switch.
result of scoring.
Yeah, because the road may deteriorate that much more. Or something happened that requires us taking immediate action. Or a project that may be a priority may have to be delayed because we don't have enough money.
And we have those streets that we had removed this year.
Yeah.
We might have to move it to next year's construction, so.
You know, see Springer as well.
Yes, Stonehaven, remember, it was on the list, but we had to remove it because of budget restraints.
Well, I also remember you were saying that some of the substrate or whatever it is not what was documented or what you guys thought it was, and so there's an issue there.
Yeah,
It's
so
like
that's
that.
one of the things that we have started doing, starting with this year's annual streets, we're actually taking core samples. To determine what is the structural integrity, or what is the structural section of the road itself. Yeah, wasn't it? I mean, Springer, we were surprised to find that there's no aggregate base. It's like 7 inches of asphalt, which is a whole. But that's the way it was done in the past.
Or thick.
Poor thick, we still feel like that.
Or thicker.
I guess so, just to reiterate, this is the plan as it is now, it is open to change based off of future data that is received from the city, and it will change, hopefully not much, but if it does, it needs to, correct?
Then I will be bringing it back to the commissioner.
Thank you.
Technically, because this is a 4-year, after next year, I will be making modifications to this, because I need to bring another 4 years ahead.
You said it's a company that you contract to do survey of the streets.
It's actually through the MTC, Metropolitan Transportation Commission. They are the agency.
Is that a state or?
No, there's a local agency that is, they are the funding agency for all the Bay Area. And because they get all the federal funds, they're the one that distributes all the federal money to all the agencies from North Bay all the way down to I forgot how far it goes, but it's a pretty big wide area,
So it's more several counties.
multiple counties.
How do they determine who's more eligible than somebody else?
We all apply for grants.
Oh, it is, okay, it's grant based.
It's grant based, but they also try to make sure that everybody's on a 2-year cycle. So, right now, we're off cycle. The last survey we did was 3 years going on 4 years. So when we applied, they basically said you're off cycle, you're gonna get it. There's also another impact in the fact that if we don't get into that cycle, it also impacts our grant and our gas tank coming into the city. So it is to our advantage to make sure we're still.
The only thing I would like to add is how you identify which ones we may want to go to the community with inputs and so on, restriping. I know that Springer is one where we had identified as something that we need some community engagement on.
Yes, but
Are
I
the
thought
other ones as part of the next cycle that you have?
a lot of, if the roads we're putting the stripes back in.
Yeah, I understand, but are there anything, do you? Based on-
Springer's the only one that I
Still
know.
Springer's the only. Okay.
Final comments? Thank you, Art Stephen, for the insights. And that brings us to the conclusion of discussion items. Moving on to city staff updates. City staff, any updates?
We did you guys a lot last time.
You did, you said you would provide them per quarter, so we'll have one before the end of the year of a detailed list that you'll be working on. Any parts?
The one thing would be annual street, for next year, we'll be awarding that in October. So we'll have a designer by then.
So, soon, I guess.
Yeah.
First or sometime in the middle.
October 14th, council meeting, but they'll be awarding that project consultant.
Is that when you need support?
What's that?
Is that one of those meetings that you need support there? There's a
No.
lot of times we have to
No.
go with support. Okay.
No, it's just award.
Okay.
So.
Any other city staff updates?
and then it's ongoing, the, you know, the annual street. You see all the signs out there. The priority is, downtown, trying to get that one done as soon as possible. And then Monty and Springer is one of the other ones, right? And University, those are what we're trying to get.
All the locations that we just mentioned, you might wanna kind of look around. We have installed a lot of the ramps already. They're almost done. And personal opinion, it actually look nice.
The ADA ramps.
We have all. the-
Downtown, there's some ADA ramps there, you guys can see that,
Yeah,
big improvements, actually, in downtown.
we have done everything we can to minimize the impact to downtown, including a lot of the work was done at night. So,
For the businesses, we're thankful.
not the residents.
Yeah. Thank you for the updates. Moving on to commissioner reports. Anyone have a commissioner report too?
Can I just make a comment on Commissioner's report, since we approved Commissioner Banerjee to be the, are we expecting her to commit, how is she gonna report on the VTA PPAC meetings?
I think she sent, I didn't have a chance to read it in detail, but she sent us an update, correct, via email? Is that, or was that?
No, that was just something else, yeah, but how would she report?
We can formalize it, based off a conversation with her that I had, another community event. The intention is for her to continue to attend those meetings. If she needs to come here and provide a more thorough, detailed conversation or topic, she'll let us know in advance.
She'll come in as a
But then-
listener, speaking again.
And then she will also would share an email update with us so that it can be circulated with the commission.
Okay.
If anything was pressing or needed for our attention.
Okay.
But we can formalize that so it's well understood. I think it's.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not guessing, right?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know if the chair needs to email her, you know, congratulate her for continue, but also to clarify what we need from her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To make sure that,
We
you
just
know, we
need
do
to-
get the information,
We
so.
just need to have clear expectations.
Exactly, so maybe the chair or you,
I'll take it up as an action for myself
Okay,
to
that'd
give
be
it the.
just let her know that. you guys voted her.
Next cycle, so her role as the chair of the VTA PPAC is included, and then also with expectations that formalize.
And let me know if you heard, I don't know if you have her email address or not.
I have it from. Email that within some.
Okay, sounds good.
If I need it, I will reach out to you.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, that's what it is.
You need commissioner reports.
Well, yeah, this is an informal report, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
Most of you or some of you may have seen the Instagram post that was published for Los Altos High School by the Talent.
Mhm.
And one of their authors, rather than writing an article in the school paper, he felt the kids wouldn't read that. And so he posted an Instagram post on e-bike safety and a new ordinance that went out to multiple students at Los Altos High School. And I was also going to mention that the amount of column inches in a town crier over the last few weeks on the front page, I think have been really impressive in terms of what we're dealing with in terms of bike and e-bike safety. I've been doing some audits at the high school, and from my personal counts, the amount of e-bikes that are now being ridden to Los Altos High School has gone up 4 to 6 times over what it was at the end of last year. And it's increasing exponentially on our streets.
Did you notice that they're all wearing helmets and all? They should be doing that.
I think it's mixed, right? You've got some kids wearing it, but some kids who aren't.
I was gonna say,
And
I'm noticing more helmets now.
You know,
The most, you think the most were.
the enforcement comments
Okay,
that
that's
we
good.
heard about enforcing speed limits are no different about enforcing e-bike stuff. You know, they're, most of the time, there's no one around to enforce it. So I think education is the way to go. As a commission, we've been patient and waiting for presentation by our police department. And it would be great to see that agendized.
Based on what I've observed, just to add on what you were just saying. based on what I've observed, I don't see 3 people on an e-bike anymore, or if I do, it's very few. In fact, today I actually saw, several kids was running 2 on an e-bike. They all had helmets. So it's good. I was very impressed with that.
That's report. Yeah. Anyone else have a report? 2 things to share, just as a, an FYI, if we didn't receive an email about this, I think it's Caltrans, it has a ribbon cutting ceremony on October 6th at 1:30 PM in Palo Alto for the completion of the El Camino Real project. I say they're jumping the gun because they still don't have the light timed yet, so wish that was completed. But if you have time to go out, was an email sent out about this, or?
There was a couple things I forwarded.
Okay, so mark your calendars. Read more into it, ride your bike there. Take the bus or something else if you can. The other one, I'm driving to work yesterday. I learned that it was the Santa Clara County DTA's free bus and light rail service day. I was like, oh, I wish I would have known about this sooner, or we as a commission knew, given we're a part of this. So it was free bus rides and train for the entire day as a means to try and get the public used to riding public transit and having a free ride and ultimately becoming customers or more frequent customers, as was stated on the radio. So I'm just putting it out there. I was like, I need to follow maybe some other channels to ultimately get informed about this, but it was yesterday on the 23rd. So, late.
I paid a bike Caltrain yesterday then.
Why'd you have to pay?
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't have paid. Yeah.
You know, what's good is ask them if they could provide, heads up notice when they do that to. So you could distribute that to.
Yeah, I just, there was on some NPR station or KQED or KLW or something like that, and I learned.
But if, right, but I'm saying next year or whenever it is, we could all.
Oh, no, it is. Yeah, I was gonna try and find something as a result of it and subscribe to something that would be informing, so we can talk about it, but. That was that piece, and then I wanted to make an ask, I guess, given that construction is still continuing with El Camino and they're still working on the timing of lights. As just a request, as you communicate with them, if you can let us know when that sequencing or timing is done, that would be wonderful. I think we'll know when we drive it, but it'd be nice to know when they're actually gonna do it.
They're already working on it. They're projecting the work to be done by November.
So,
And in fact, they're in our last meeting, our last and final meeting, they indicated that the contractors still working on this the loops. They're actually gonna be a little ahead of schedule. So, but they're not able to give us exactly how much they're gonna be done, how fast they're gonna be done. Yeah, but they just said they are gonna be done in November.
And then my last, I'm gonna ask is there a website that works across multiple cities to provide feedbacks on light timings or issues with lights? Or is it city by city?
City by city.
So you have to search. I'm seeing issues like on Alma, where you're still having times like the never ending closure of
Wasn't that
of
something?
Castro happens and its lights just get locked up all the way back to
And they should have a city web,
Isn't that
web page that
like,
will-
Public Works?
Public Works or whatever, implication or whatever that is.
So which city?
Mountain View, Alma. Yeah, it literally, we can talk about it. I just wanted to see where to provide this feedback or try and change the flow of some lights, which are really painful.
Yeah, you gotta contact them.
And that, I'm the last commissioner report, then potential future agenda items. Is there any potential future agenda items?
Definitely the next meeting, we're gonna have a new chair and vice chair, so it's gonna be. But we're gonna nominate and vote for new, and they'll take over for the next meeting, so this is gonna be last. As a vice chair.
Vice chair.
So,
But he can get promoted.
what's that?
He can get promoted.
You can, if you guys nominate him and you guys vote him in, so that's one of the things we have to do next week.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then I guess, I don't know if we're bringing back the Pistol Drive, are we bringing that back?
Yep, just so that will be discussed as final.
Oh,
Well, we have to-
don't apologize.
We have the proposal plan. Residents will be informed, and then we'll be making it.
Yeah, we'll inform them again, yep.
Yep.
We already have the list, so
Thank
So
you.
everybody in the apartment complex gets the notice.
500 feet from this. So
This one is gonna be everybody just along that road that's gonna be impacted.
But in the apartment complex, didn't you say there's like 20 or 30?
36.
36.
That's true.
So.
Because
That's
on
not
on the
500,
frontage, they will be
That's what's gonna
We're
affect.
not gonna put it in the apartment complex,
in the apartment complex.
everybody in the apartment complex.
How does the notice, is it like a?
So,
yellow
yes, I
postcard?
said, I did send postcards and then I resend it to the schools too, just to make sure they get it, because I don't know who accepts it from the schools. So, but the residents, about 500, yeah, I should have postcards.
They will be in, they will be
Right,
different.
but it's a radius.
Yeah,
Yeah,
depends on the radius.
yeah, this time is just.
So this time it's gonna be,
City.
I think my-
No, so this time I say a postcard, okay, postcard.
no, this will not be a proposal, it will actually be a letter, because you guys want us to show what the proposal is.
Or we just, we put that in the packet,
No,
okay?
we're gonna send it, no, it's not.
Well, in the middle of your hard call, then that's.
Yeah, that's what I mean, we have to put it in the packet anyway, but
Oh,
This is a
We-
bunch of letters that-
for me, these usually-
We will work on the logistics, but we will make sure that they see what is being proposed.
well, the thing is, we sent, I think I've sent, I don't know how many, over 100, 200 mails. You know, and that's what happened, so,
But
yeah, again, we did send our notice, but we didn't get the responses, so. We didn't do it. It's, I was surprised there's nobody that filled out. Actually, the vice principal. Exactly, so.
And the ad hoc subcommittee as well.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else comes to mind, Wes and I will prioritize that in our planning. And that brings us to the end, adjournment. Suppose we adjourn at 8:44,
8:45,
45 now,
Alright.
it clicked over.
all right, sounds good,
Meeting adjourned, thank you all,
thanks, guys.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.